we need to. Just tell me, what did you understand? Devansh, what did you understand about Buddhism? Or you want to say, Karim, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, till now, we used to read, wherever we read, it is like Buddhism mostly handles with how, like Buddha tries to say about sorrow and how to overcome sorrow and all. So, but there is no exact meaning of what he actually referred to as sorrow. So there was, I mean, you mentioned about few modern Buddhas who actually gave what is the sorrow, what is the notion. Maybe sorrow is not only the thing which leads, I mean, not only sorrow, but the things that lead to sorrow and all the actions, everything should be, I mean, will be referred as sorrow. Maybe Buddha had referred sorrow in this context, but not exactly. This is what the essence of the video was.
But basically, leaving the video, I just want to ask, do you think there is some kind of a state, some kind of a state of working where possibly there is no sorrow, or it's all crap and superstition?
Yes, sir. Maybe there is a state where there is no sorrow.
There is something, at least something like that.
Yes, yes.
So you don't think these people are lying?
Yes.
Okay.
But that is controlled by, I mean, like our own. What is it, to achieve that state also is there is something that we have to do from our end without any expectations, something like that.
That is true. That may be, but how we become, that is a different issue. But you think that there is really something, and they are not lying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you think that there is a some? Just tell me, is there anybody who thinks that, who doesn't think there is some kind of a state, some kind of a different state of functioning where there is no sorrow, or they are simply lying?
Sir, I believe that.
Sunil, you disagree?
Yes, sir.
Please tell me.
Sir, I believe whatever they are talking about is, I mean, they must be there somewhere, but not the way they are talking about.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
but is there a state in which are they experiencing a different state of functioning?
no, sir, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Like, for example, can there be a sorrow-free state that Buddha talked about? There is a possibility of overcoming sorrow.
No, I don't think.
You don't think so? Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, maybe at a point of time there can be no sorrow, but it will be present in other times, time specific.
But then that is true of everybody, right?
Yes.
Everybody is not in sorrow all the time.
Yes.
So Buddha, you don't think he may be different, or he may have some insight on sorrow?
Complete cessation of sorrow is not possible.
Okay, but then is Buddha lying then? What is he doing?
Maybe he is reducing the effect of sorrow.
Okay, but he's saying freedom from sorrow. So you mean to say there is less sorrow? Less sorrow is what we see among ourselves. Some people are less sad compared to others.
I think freedom is ideal state. Ideal state.
You mean to say they are only talking about a possibility, but which is not true?
Yes, sir.
They themselves have no clue.
I don't say they have no clue, but they are saying like Plato, some ideal state.
Plato's ideal state. Case, what is your idea?
Sir, I think for at a certain duration of time, one can be free from most of the sorrow that is only due to his imagination or lack of understanding. So through appropriate knowledge, most of the suffering or sorrow can be reduced, and at that period we can feel so much peaceful and quiet.
But
And,
that's what we are, right? That is what we are. If we are knowledgeable and if we are wiser, we can be less sad even when we fail the exam, when the love failure happens. So for that, we don't need Buddha and we don't need all this abstract philosophy.
sir, but I
Deepti,
think
what is your
we
opinion?
need.
Okay, Karim, case continue.
Sir, I think what most of our family, parents, or school teaches us is appropriate only to some extent, too useful to some extent.
Okay.
Because of the prevailing practices or so. But Buddha asks us to think and explore, be more rational, and to attain the greater truth. So I think he.
What is greater truth? You mean you don't think there is a state of freedom from sorrow or anything like that? Okay, we'll come back to that. Deepti, what is your answer? Deepti, and then I'll also ask you Devansh and Gautam. Gautam, you have a name, Gautam, so you have more clarity and more knowledge on these issues, Gautam.
Sure.
You say you did not name yourself, so you are not responsible.
Yes, I think there cannot be a state where we can overcome completely. Sorrow cannot be completely negated, sir. Even following.
Then why are they talking about that? All these desires and then 4 noble truths, 8-fold path. Why all this and for centuries? If there is no
I mean, to reduce the effect of the things.
You mean, then we don't need all that to reduce. Okay, Deepti, what is your answer? You have something to say?
Sir, I think that a sorrowless state can be obtained, but not within materialistic life.
Means?
Maybe sannyasis or somebody who have given up desire, maybe they might experience that state.
They will have? Why they? Just because you take sannyasi, renunciation, they will not have any desires. They may still have desires to become great monks, more popular monks.
When that desire is still there, I think
a monk may desire more following. So one monk is envious that the other monk has 1,000 followers, whereas this monk only 800 followers, 200 followers.
They have to overcome that desire also, no sir, if they are true sannyasis. I mean to say, when there is no desire, maybe then they can achieve sorrowless state. I do believe somebody can achieve that sorrowless state.
You mean there is one such? You are saying?
Yes, sir. I believe in that. But I also believe that when we are leading such materialistic life, even though we are giving up, even if somebody gives up,
that is true. But you know, there are so many people who gave up materialistic life, but they were very busy and searching for spiritual things. They are not really different. You can leave money, but you can seek followers. You can seek more and more truth, or you can be dissatisfied with yourself in a variety of ways.
Then there is still some desire left, no sir?
Of course. So you can't say materialistic desires only are desires. There can be kind of spiritual desires also, not materialistic.
Yes, sir. Yes, I agree. Yes, sir.
Okay, Devansh, what is your idea? What did you understand from those videos? You have philosophy as an optional, so you have more insight.
Sir, actually, to say that nobody will have sorrow, I think they talk in the sense of worldly pleasures and pains. It is not that they don't experience life or like that, but it's like they have a better understanding of some greater truth.
So Devansh, I mean, because of noise, you mean to say there is some such state?
Sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
Okay. You mean to say there is some such state?
Yes, sir, some state, but it is hard to put in words. It can be experienced. That is what Lord Buddha said. Whenever he was asked metaphysical questions, he said he kept mum because he said that I cannot describe that to you. You can only experience.
Fine. And I know you studied, but what I'm asking you is that do you believe or you don't believe?
Sir, I believe.
You believe?
Yes, sir. There is something to be attained which few people have, and
Fine, fine.
can.
Fine, thank you. So let me explain in my own way. See, basically, my favorite analogy is movie. I find this explains better. For example, how do we watch a movie? There is some sad scene. We are also sad. Some happy scene. We are also happy. Okay. But how is this sadness and happiness related to, how different from normal sadness when we fail the exam? Just look at this. Sadness when we fail the exam compared to sadness we experience when we are watching a movie. Just take time. Aren't they different? Yes or no?
Yes.
Karim,
Yes, sir.
how are they different?
Real thing, I mean, real life experience will be definitely more like failing in an exam would be.
Some kind of a crushing.
Yes.
But a movie sadness,
Oh.
some like enjoyment, or we just can't. It's not that we are happy. We have emotions, we have feelings, but somehow it is not crushing. Isn't it? Do you follow it?
Yes.
As far as I understand, in the working of a transformed mind, person's sorrows and pleasures become like on a screen. And the person is relatively unaffected, like in a movie. That, in a nutshell, is transformation. Take time. This can be explained in a variety of ways. This is consciousness. This is contents of consciousness. This is the reason why I did Damasio first. You are sad, you are happy, you are an intelligent person. These are all contents. There is consciousness that just I am. And there is a disconnect. There is a disconnect. Putting differently, consciousness is not the same thing as contents of consciousness. There is consciousness, but consciousness doesn't identify itself with the contents. Put differently, this is mind. And me is not the mind. Basically, in a normal functioning, we equate ourselves with our minds. This is ours. We don't think of ourselves being different from the minds. Whereas in a transformed functioning, mind is also like hand and feet, like this. Okay, they say I am intelligent, they say I am good, like that. They say I suffer, they say I am happy. Like in a movie, like you don't think you are the movie. Movie is outside you. That is what happens to mind. And I think this is what Buddha understood. What is sorrow? Sorrow is simply thinking that you are the mind. This dissociation, once this dissociation happens, there is a freedom. This is called freedom from self and various other things. Normally, all the self-help talk and everything is all about within the self. Socrates said, know yourself, like this. But transformation is not about knowing yourself, becoming yourself, but it is something dissociating yourself from all the contents. I posted Ramana Maharshi's video also. Why? Because you can see, for example, Gandhi wants to be a good person because person means something to him. Whereas to Ramana Maharshi, he doesn't mind whether he's good or bad. He's just dissociated. We may be playing a role of a hero on the movie. We may be playing a role of a villain. It just doesn't matter. But Gandhi cannot play the role of a villain. Gandhi has to be a hero. Gandhi has to be a good person only. But Ramana Maharshi, that just doesn't matter. These are all drama. So this is something amoral. Amoral, and a disjunction takes place. And people whom we call enlightened, they seem to have gone through a process which is irreversible. Irreversible. Not that they are less sad and not like that. It is not about intelligent processing and intelligent understanding. It is simply some kind of a dissociation is happening. Disjunction is happening. Just like your failure won't affect me, their failure won't affect them. It is like that. I understood more after reading Damasio, though Damasio did not talk about these things. So I made those 2 videos in 2016, but after that I read much more. Damasio helped me a lot because I understood actually what is self, what is consciousness, contents of consciousness, and what might be the transformation. I learned many more from Damasio. So finally I understood this separation. So it is not that sadness doesn't happen to Buddha, but the quality of his experience will be different. His sadness will be like our sadness when we are watching a tragedy. We are sad, but that is a different quality. So basically we equate ourselves with our minds. But in a transformed functioning, mind is different. Mind is different. Mind is dissociated. So many things happen to mind. They don't try to improve the mind. They don't want to be good people, bad people. They want to be great. No, nothing like that. They want to be spiritually evolved. No, it's just not them. Okay, this is what I understood. Many people have asked me, how do you look at Sadhguru? I found I disagree with many of his political views, but on this core thing, that whether we are the minds or not, Sadhguru has a very, very clear understanding that we are not our minds. Sadhguru has this tremendous clarity on this issue. He never spoke in a way that we are our minds. He is always clear. We are not our minds. So all that Socrates, Gandhi, Freud, and anybody talked about is about how to improve mind, how to become better people, how to have less sorrow. But transformation is not about improving mind, but disconnection. Just disconnect. And which is found to be very, very difficult. But in modern times, there is one Echart Tolle, is one who seemed to have gone through this transformation. Okay. And it was not his effort. It happened suddenly to him. And then he read and understood that this is what happened to him. So this process seems to be rare, but it is appearing to some individual now and then. So Buddha was neither the first person nor the last person. So people here and there are able to see certain changes to the mind, okay, and free from it. So it is in that sense there is freedom from sorrow.
So I have a doubt.
Just one second. Freedom from sorrow doesn't mean that they don't have the sorrow. It doesn't even mean they don't have the desires. Okay. It is simply a kind of a disconnection, a dissociation. So the best example I can think of is we versus watching a movie. We have the feelings. Okay. It is just like the way we are related to the screen, they are related to the screen in their own minds. It means what they do is simply witnessing. So sad events happen to them. Wives die, love fails. Okay. Many things happen. They go through sorrow, but in a different way. It is like that. So in Buddha's life, he said he will find, according to the story, sickness causes sorrow and death causes sorrow. But do you know, in the end, he didn't find any solution to them. But then according to the story, he understood the source of sorrow and he overcame. Without knowing the solution to sickness and death and aging, how can he say he overcame sorrow? So he understood sorrow was not related to the external. Sorrow was related to how you see what happens to you. You fail in the examination, you fail in love, people near to you die. You can't stop that. But how you are related to them holds the key to your sorrow. Normally, people will say it is fate and all that. Normally, we do like that only. But transformation is a different process. Transformation is a dissociation. And then the people who are transformed say it is an irreversible process. Not that I was enlightened for a few hours and then after that I am normal. Not like that. Okay, but extremely rare process because of which the world appears different, and that is a source of a lot of wisdom and insight and many other transformatory process. Okay, so we are not our minds. We witnessing self develops. So one very clear expression of this is, for example, we can keep the hand without using. We can just keep like this. But can we use the mind without using? No. Can we keep the mind without using? No. Mind is always thinking. But in a transformed mind, people don't think. They will think only when they need to think. Whereas we can't avoid thinking. We're constantly thinking, blah, 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 blah. And Krishnamurti said, he used to go for long walks for hours. He said, not a thought used to pass through those long walks. Not a thought used to pass. It's impossible to conceive, even for a few seconds. How can there be a mind without a thought? So the mind is serene. Then some people have asked him, what actually is like your mind? He said it's like a pond, just serene pond. And won't it be disturbed? Yes, it will be disturbed. But once it is disturbed, very soon it settles once again. Like something thrown on the pond. What happens? Some disturbance and then settles like that. But what is normal mind? Constantly thinking, dreaming, worrying, dreaming plus worrying, dreaming, worrying. It is a cycle. So in a transformed mind is something different, dissociated. So one uses the mind when one wants to. Okay, very few people have gone through this process. Buddha is neither the first nor the last. And people have reported in a similar way across the ages. Okay. Okay. Now, Mayank, you wanted to ask something.
Yes, sir. So from yesterday's class, we had discussed that how consciousness allows us to feel our emotions.
Exactly.
So it sort of runs counter to that we dissociate when we want to.
Exactly. We witness, and now we know we are helplessly connected. In normal functioning, we are helplessly connected.
Yes.
In a higher functioning, we are connected in a conscious way, voluntarily. So, for example, we are not helplessly connected to our hands, isn't it? We can move like this, but we don't have that control over our mind. We don't have control over emotions. But in higher functioning, we are not connected like this. We want to act on emotions, we will, otherwise we don't want. It is like that. So there also emotions are working, feelings are working. So that is what is meant by control over the mind. But usually people want to control the mind in the sense that they want to be there and control without seeing that there is a dissociation process. So, for example, Gandhi wants to be good, but Ramana Maharshi would say that as long as you want to be good, you can never know what is the final truth. You should not try to be good. It just doesn't mind you are bad. It is like that. It is a dissociation. So people confuse spirituality with moral progress, and that is the most serious problem with spirituality and transformation. People want to be good in the sense that the society thinks that they are good, without seeing this is a kind of a dissociation, which is something different. So that eightfold path says right approach, right, but all those rights don't finally lead to dissociation. But being good may help, but that doesn't lead to this kind of a transformation. This transformation is something different. Many people have tried and they didn't make it. But as I was talking to Deepthi, people leave material goals, but they end up, they go to spiritual goals. So when am I going to get enlightenment, and when more people are going to listen to me? When am I going to get rid of my anger? When am I going to get rid of my sexual desire? When is my mind going to be much quiet? Now I am silent for only for 2 minutes. When I am going to be silent for 5 minutes? These are all spiritual goals. So normally people leave material goals and enter spiritual goals. Leave material desires and enter spiritual desires, but all desires lead to same problems. Okay. So, I mean, socially they have become good people. There is no doubt. They may be doing social service. They may be helping. Okay. But when they are doing social service, they may think, as of now, our organization is able to serve 10 villages. But when are we going to serve 20 villages and help mankind? That's what they will think. This is all desire. Though that desire is helpful to the society, but it is not helpful to them internally, because it is the same process. So one should not think by simply dropping the desire for money and material success, one will make it spiritually. No. Spiritual goals, spiritual desires will replace material desires, but desiring is the same thing. So this is a very serious issue. So some people want to accumulate so much so that they can renounce more, so that they become great monks. It is the same desire. But remember, the social implications may be different. The person who wants to serve 20 villages compared to 10 villages, he is a good person socially. Okay, because he wants to help more number of people. But internally, it is not freedom from desire. That is a problem. So everybody will appreciate, okay, now you served only 10, now you want to serve more. Bill Gates wanted to get the Nobel Peace Prize also. So he was trying for that also. So that is good. Instead of killing the rivals, he wanted to get Nobel Peace Prize. And that was a good desire that helps the society. But internally, it is the same. That is a problem. So desires can be helpful to the society, but internally, it is the same. Okay. So it is not that when you drop material desires, you are going to be a great person. Just take time. So what can contribute to the society need not contribute to the individual. Do you know, this understanding was very, very crucial to me. I was reading Gandhi, Vivekananda, and I thought I would do social service and I am going to be a great selfless person. So, but when I read Krishnamurti, he told me that just because you serve people, just because people are helped, it doesn't mean you are less selfish. And I was shocked. So I understood that Krishnamurti had real insight into the working of mind. I thought if I help more people, I will be less selfish and I will be a great person. But Krishnamurti said, it's not true. You can be as mean and as wretched by helping so many people. I was shocked. Mayank, I belong to your institute only, IIT Madras. Krishnamurti came to our college, spoke in central lecture, central CLT, if it is still there.
Yes, sir.
CLT, and then they put some videos also in physics lecture theater. So we were shocked. I was shocked. So I felt that this man had an insight. Okay. So I understood what was going on. It is not simply spiritual goals. It is not social service. There is something different. So what is that? That was what I was interested in inquiring about. But the idea that you can be helpful to the society, you can do great things, but inwardly you can be rich, was a shocking thing to me. Okay. So I understood now that there is a dissociation. We are not our minds. I can tell you, if you ask me what is then very difficult to understand, which is very, very counterintuitive, however much you say it is very difficult, is the idea that we are not our minds. Because we just can't understand what are we if we are not our minds. Okay. So let me tell you, whatever you read about all the Western thinkers is about how to improve our minds, how to know better, how to be wise. But this transformation is not about how to improve our minds, but just disconnect. It is about not minding being bad. Just doesn't matter. We are villains. That's okay. Only when you are attached to your mind, you want to be good. But if you are not attached, it just doesn't matter. And that dissociation seemed to have transformatory effect on the way we function. So spirituality is not morality, though morality can be a part of it. So Eightfold Path is like a morality, right speech, right concentration, right livelihood. But Buddha himself would say all that won't lead to enlightenment. It might help. Definitely, right livelihood reduces anxiety. It makes you more calm. Okay, life more useful. Okay, but the problem is, even spiritually, you can get into desiring process and lead a very ambitious life, like anybody else. How many followers, how much truth that I know, how many minutes silence I can maintain. Okay, how much of control over sex I have. All the desires. So this is a different process. Then we can look into what is meditation and other things. Okay, Mayank, please tell me.
Yes, sir, same. So how does the middle path figure into this? What Buddha said about middle path?
Middle path was in a historical context. Some people were torturing themselves. And Buddha said, torturing doesn't help. And at the same time, pursuing pleasure doesn't help. There were some people who are saying pursue pleasure. In between, middle. But let me tell you, Buddha's middle for our standards is extremely tough. So Buddhists would take 1 meal a day, and middle path to them was 1 meal a day. But for modern man, that is not middle. So in comparison to torturing themselves, because they believed that if you control your body, then the mind will be controlled. So suffer. That was what Buddha tried in the beginning. And Buddha tried so much, and he was about to die. Buddha realized that this won't lead to. Because now we know all that is attachment only. Desire for enlightenment is a desire also. But it does not mean you shouldn't have the desire. You should have the desire, but in the end, there should be freedom. So it is a kind of an elusive thing. So Buddha is trying variety of things. But remember, one thing about Buddha is that this concept of enlightenment was there before Buddhism. It was there in Upanishads. There was a talk of desires. So in that way, Buddha evolved from Vedism, and Buddha got the real truth and influenced Vedism, and finally Hinduism came. So Buddha was a part of Hinduism in that way and influenced Hinduism. So all the concepts, all the core concepts were there before Buddha. But Buddha realized the idea that it has something to do with desires also was there. All the core concepts were there before Buddha, but Buddha understood them in a very original way and reformed, changed. It was a revolution in spirituality. But Buddha knew so many things before he became that. He was trying to become, nobody was helping him, and he found nothing was helping. So it is not that he came nowhere and made it, not like that. So much happened before him, and he was that, and after that everything got reformed. And Buddhism went all over the world. I would say India's main contribution was Buddhism. And even now, India's main contribution, I would say, is this phenomena of enlightenment. I think this has influenced all the religions. I think most probably Jesus was influenced by Buddha. Some say he was a Buddhist monk. And then Islam is simply, Muhammad was influenced by Judaism and Christianity. So all the religions have this. And then this idea of enlightenment influenced mystics of Christianity and mystics of Islam, this idea of Sufism, nearness to God. So many things came from Buddhism. So I would say India's biggest contribution is this. Okay. In politics, in recent years, it could be Gandhi, but all through history, this enlightenment is the perennial contribution. Now and then India was sending people outside that we made it. And some people outside were realizing, okay, it is not that only Hindus understood, only Buddhists have understood. It is not like that, but there were people. Each religion has mystics. Islam has mystics, Sufi saints. For example, Shirdi Sai Baba is regarded enlightened person. Is Muslim and Hindu. And then so much of Sufi poetry is influenced by enlightenment process. So if you equate Islam simply with Quran, could be very primitive. But if you think Islam represents not just Quran, but so much of philosophy, as Islam spread to so many countries, then so much is there in Islam. Same thing about Christianity. Christianity is not simply Bible. There is so much of Christian mysticism. So that's how all religions picked up depth. Depth because this is depth, it is unknowable depth. Because even if we know these things academically, intellectually, it's very difficult because it's a matter of experience. So that's how religions became deep sources of wisdom. So religion is not simply one textbook. If you take it as one textbook, it is not much. Okay, particularly Islam fails even more miserably if you just equate it with Quran. But if you take the entire experience of mystics, then religion becomes very profound. In fact, coming to Gandhi and Ambedkar, that is Gandhi's argument also. Gandhi says, so in every religion has mystics and great people. How can you blame religion and then say this religion is superior and inferior? Why don't you take the best people of a religion and try to become? That is Gandhi's argument. And if you are going by the best people in a religion, every religion had daredevil characters, extremely advanced. But if you are taking one textbook and then compare empirically, historically, some do very poorly. That is Ambedkar's approach. Okay. So it is not that Gandhi is completely irrational. Gandhi has a viewpoint. You go by evolved people. If those people are evolved because of the religion, then you also take the religion like that. Why do you go by, why do you equate Manusmriti? Why do you equate Hinduism with Manusmriti and all kinds of books? Take great Tukaram, Tulsidas. So many people are there in Hinduism, like that in other religions also. So if you are in a position to take the great people in your religion, then Gandhi thinks you don't need to convert also, because you can't be greater than the people who are already there in that religion. On the other hand, if you take some textbooks and some books and then try to analyze which is greater, surely religions religions are very bad. So that's what Gandhi said. Going by your criteria, no religion is good. That's true. Because modern civilization is very advanced. Equality, rationality, there are so many things. So if you apply that criteria, many religions fail. But if you take the criteria of spiritual depth that some people in that religion achieved, then you are nowhere. So Gandhi's viewpoint is that you are a scholar, and scholar is not a qualification to understand religion. You have to be a saint to understand religion. That is Gandhi's approach. What are you, first of all, to explain, to know what is Bhagavad Gita? You are a scholar. You are trying to understand religion through knowledge, whereas religion is a spiritual experience. So both are valid. There are two different ways of looking at things. So when you look at great people and think what is possible in that religion, can you be more than Shirdi Sai Baba? So what do you say? So then you don't think of reforming religion or anything like this. You try to live up to it and you set an example. On the other hand, if you take some scriptures and historically analyze and apply modern values, then you find so many bad people. So it is not scholarship that is needed. You need to have spiritual experience to evaluate a religion. So that is Gandhi's view. Okay. So I wanted you to understand these things. Okay. So because you can look at issues differently. Okay. Karim?
Sir, when we say we are not our minds, I am unable to get some clarity. Sir, what does it exactly
That
mean?
is true. See, when we are watching in a movie, are we the screens? No.
No.
Screens are outside, but we are impacted. We are different. So we are nothing but simply the consciousness. We only. Not we are like this, we are like that. We add so many attributes. But we separate we and screen are merged. It is like this in a normal functioning. Whereas in a transformed functioning, dissociation seems to be taking place. Movie is the analogy. So much movie is going on, right? In our mind, we want to be toppers, and if we are toppers, what happens? That is a screen. We think we are that screen. We just don't watch the screen and laugh it away. We take it up. We want that, this. We are not separate from the screen. Okay. So part of the spiritual goal, problem with many spiritual goal is that they want to change the screen. Gandhi wanted to change the screen. They want to be like heroes on the screen. They don't want to have bad thoughts. They want to have good thoughts. They want to have great people. But Maharsh approach is that's just what it is, just dissociation. So dissociation is not the same thing as moral progress. I find confusion between morality and spirituality is the most serious problem of a seeker. Okay. He wants to have, he doesn't want to have sexual thoughts. He doesn't want to have power thoughts. He doesn't want to be selfish. He wants to be silent. All these things. So that only makes you more attached to the screen. The more you want to be good, the more attached you are. So I found spiritual progress is different from moral progress. Spiritual progress is about witnessing. Moral progress is about becoming a good person, becoming useful to others. It's like
then
that.
Gandhi is not enlightened.
Of course he is not. Obviously, he himself knows. Of course he is not. Gandhi wanted, but of course he is not.
Sir?
Sir, why should we seek spirituality?
That is true. That why should we seek? Because that seems to be the last solution to wiser living. It is, for example, we don't have control over minds. We are not. We are led by emotions. Our minds are bosses, whereas they say they are free. For example, why do we want to control my hands, or we just go by what the hands are doing? We find it ridiculous, right? We should be in a position to use hands, but we are not in a position to use minds now. Minds are using us. Our mind uses us. Mind has wounds, mind has goals. We are constantly enslaved by our mind. So that is why they have defined freedom as freedom from mind, not freedom from outside above. That was the traditional liberty that they talked about, spirituality talked about. Maharaja, Jain. Jain meant conqueror, but conqueror of what? Of mind. But unfortunately, we forgot these basics and we equated freedom is freedom from somebody, freedom from king, freedom, wife's freedom from husband, boss, subordinates freedom from boss, like that. But in fact, we are not free. We are in fact more enslaved. We are not enslaved by one person. We are enslaved by society. When you daily say 14 hours, 14 hours, 14 hours, who is the boss? Society and chocolates. That's where is freedom. So just because you are following your mind, it doesn't mean free. It is just that society changed your mind so much that society doesn't have to be there. It doesn't use coercion. It changed your mind. It said big chocolate. So the mind is controlling. So we are enslaved by our minds. Because somebody is not there, we think it is freedom. So freedom, we think, I want to buy these things, I am free. I want to leave this man, I am free. I want to do this thing free. Without seeing, these are simply pleasures of the mind. So one doesn't say freedom as freedom from the mind. I would say, again, as we are not the minds is one thing, modern man doesn't know what freedom is. He doesn't have a clue that the freedom should be defined as freedom from mind. He'll be shocked. Modern man is enslaved. He has no freedom. His freedom is, instead of this, I will do that. But both of them are dictated by the mind, choosing one boss instead of the other. So if we have become so materialist and things like GDP became so important because we lost certain central definitions. What is freedom? Are we the mind? What is our state of being? We lost. It would be shocking for any modern person to be told that freedom may be freedom from mind. What is all this? Freedom is not freedom to dress and freedom to do that. These are all desires. Desires implanted. Basically, chocolates associated. These are all wounds. I insult you now, and if you achieve it, I will praise. Now work. Where is the freedom? This is not freedom, right? But in the fit, you say that I am insulted like this. Now people worship, people say, look at me, look up. But then in this process, your life is gone. They look up to you, but what is your life? So, this is misleading. We don't have the notion of freedom. Our understanding of freedom is not correct. Basically, we don't see how we are linked to minds and how we are enslaved by minds and how minds are impacted by the society. We take our pursuit of mind is the highest thing. So why do we need to be enlightened? Because enlightenment, it is not that if we decide we will be, but this raises the issues of insight into the way we are functioning. And the way we are functioning is related to the way the societies are functioning. That's what Plato's point also. An individual writ large is the city-state. Okay. So we don't have this idea of what is freedom. And individual lost the definition and the nation also lost. Nation thinks for more GDP than China and then territory. That is its freedom. It is not its freedom. Being free from that desire is the freedom. To pursue happiness unaffected by insults is the freedom. Refusing to settle scores is the freedom, not settling scores. That is independence. So when we lost the insight at an individual level, we lost the insight at the national level. Okay. So what Damasio did was, there was a lot of spirituality, but the thing is, when they use the word self-consciousness, but I was not in a position to locate what was all this about. But Damasio brought it scientifically. This is the process. This is how self evolved. So it brought so much of clarity. Okay. So emotional hijacking is one specific event, but broadly, we are hijacked by our minds. That is what the spirituality is talking about. Goldman talks about emotional hijacking in a specific context. You are insulted and you are hijacked and you want to settle. But we are essentially hijacked by our minds. So much that we refuse to see that we can be different from our minds, and we should be free from the minds. So these are all counterintuitive, but extremely insightful for a happy living. And only when we know how to live happily, we can be free from many other evils. Because as we know closely about the individual level, we'll know about the society also. So we need to understand, as Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle were interested in, what kind of a human being do we need? What contributes to happiness? Buddha did not talk about political state. Ramana Maharshi has no clue about political state. Okay, but Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle together, what is going on individual? And what kind of political arrangements, economic arrangements are needed to create a healthy society? where individual grows. So that is how individual and society are linked. What kind of society should we have? A society that tells us what is freedom. Society that tells us happiness is important. And if the society can tell us that don't be enslaved by mind, far better. And if somebody wants to be proud of India and India's contribution, I would say this is the contribution. Not that you also become a nuclear power, you also massacre your own people and then like that terrorism control. This is nonsense. You just see what is extremely crucial insights that your place gave, and if you can live up to them, that would be a great contribution. Not imitate others blindly, especially when they are failing. And that too late in this stage. Not that you are doing it in the beginning. When they realize their mistakes. They realize their mistake in economic growth, they realize mistakes in everything. And why do you want to follow now to become like them when they have understood and finally brought the world to the collapse? If things have to go exactly in this way, the world is going to be over within 15-20 years, not more. So why do you realize that you have to be like them now? Doesn't make sense. So leadership is not about others set the goals and you try to achieve them. Leadership is to find out what are the goals that are appropriate to the age. That is leadership. India showing the way, India leading. What? Not in nuclear arsenal, not in GDP. What does it think as the problem of the world? How is that problem being expressed in India? And how has it solved? And is there an insight in the way it solved its problem? And can the world learn anything from it? Gandhi showed in a particular context, British rule, in a unique way, peaceful, friendly departure. So what are the problems that the world has? How are they expressed in Indian context? And what is the solution that India is offering? And can the world learn about it? Not that UN Security Council seat. No. That is leadership. Okay. So think about it. I simply widened so that you think without any limitations. Okay. Next, one topic, attitudes.
Another question.
Sunil.
Sir, how do we differentiate that mind is controlling us and we are controlling mind?
How do we
understand? How do we differentiate that mind is controlling us and we are controlling our mind?
Because you can okay, let us complete this topic. There is something called meditation. Okay. Meditation, you can say, is a reflection on this process, reflection on what we are, what the minds are doing. You just see observe the mind. Are you in a position to control it? Constantly thinking. Are in a position to maintain a few seconds of silence? No. So we are not able to control thoughts. And then also see what are the main projects, day-to-day work. There are certain goals. be like that, be like this. It is like that. So there is no quietness, there is no silence. And the mind's projects we take up. That's how I look at it. But you can ask, who are we? If you say this, that is a problem. We is nothing but sense of we and nothing more. It is not that we are our higher goals and the mind. We are nothing but sense of we. It is just nothing more. Sense of being alive. We will examine. So where are we? So this thing. So people think, including Damasio, focusing on breathing like this. So many ways of quietening the mind. So that when you try to quieten the mind, you try to understand mind. But let me tell you, understanding mind is not the same thing as freedom from mind. But understanding the mind can be a step towards freedom from the mind. Okay? So breathing, deep breathe, and then observing the body and these things. Whereas my approach, I have a different approach. My approach is simply reflection on your mind. Past, present, future, writing about it, inviting. Okay. As you know more, in a more objectively, comparatively, you become quieter. That is my meditation. Not when the mind is full of thought, concentrating on a toe or a breathing. I find that is meaningless. So Vipassana meditation attempts to focus on a body part. I felt no. Controlling the mind. Well, no. When so much of noise is going on in the brain, you attend to that. Then it becomes quieter. Not breathing. So, what is meditation for? To know mind more, to quieten it. And in the end, to the extent that we are free from it. Okay. To the question, how do we know we are enslaved? I think even to know that we are enslaved, we need to observe. We need to sit quietly and understand what is going on, how are thoughts influencing us, how are thoughts formed, what is the basis of this thought. Say, I want to do this. Why am I thinking like this? This is very pleasurable. Why am I thinking like this? Then you will go back, somebody hurt you. Like this, as you go more and more, you see the mind is full of wounds, hurts, revenge, and all kinds of things. Then you see, just like you are reacting to the rope, thinking that you are a snake, thinking that it is a snake, so many things of the mind also are like that. Then you will see that this is not really a free life and we are just reacting. That is what I meant. Okay. So all this calls for some dissociation. As long as you think this is what I want, because it is not like that. Just sit quietly. Why is it all this? Learn. Then you tend to think in a more dispassionate way. So whatever, I'm not against Vipassana. I just that there are better methods. So, so all these things, and any meditation is better than leading mindless life. Okay, so quietness, not always busy, not always doing. So we'll give some kind of a freedom. Only that much I can say, Sunil.
Thank you.
So like
Next
substituting for enlightenment.
Just 1 second. Just Sunil, let him complete. Sunil.
That is insightful. So next question. When we talk about separating ourselves from the mind, so let's say even if we separate ourselves from mind, but won't we have that the other
Off-edge.
person is not separated from mind? So even if we behave in a
We
true sense,
separate our minds means we are not enslaved by it. It is because whatever we think is right and we do, that's all. For example, we want to solve a problem, then we use the mind and solve it. It is like that. So it is about more controlled use of the mind. It is in that sense. Definitely, a freer person is in a better position to respond to the situation rather than an enslaved person. It is like that. So it is in our interest, not that if we are enslaved somebody, not like that. If you want to kill, you kill, but kill with a free mind. It is like that. It is in your interest, it's in your self-defense to kill. Kill coolly. Have you seen how Krishna kills compared to our hero's kill? Heroes kill with so much revenge. Oh. Krishna kills simply, smilingly finishes the task. That is how the gods are conceived, and that is good. They are not doing revenge with revenge. They are doing it as duty, and they know that they are right. They are not going by the anger. They are going by what they think is right. So their aims are better, better targeted. So it is like that. So it is not that if you are free, then you lose something. No, you are empowered.
thank you. So one more question. Sir, is there a degree to the separation from mind and
I think so. I think so. There is a degree, but some people propose there are some irreversible changes. There is a degree. I believe in degree. I believe in degree of understanding. But there are some irreversible changes also.
Sir, do animals also have this understanding, or we are just confined to humans? Sir?
What is that?
Do animals also have this feeling, or we are just confined to
No,
humans?
animals, it's very difficult for the animals to think that their minds they can be free from minds. No. This calls for higher intelligence. This calls for higher intelligence. But people think that is how human beings should move forward. Not simply in that old stage. This is the new direction for evolution. Meditation is the direction. New species should come. That's what Aurobindo wrote. But this is the direction. Now we can see and we can evolve. But what are we doing? We are simply using all the minds for the same pleasure and comforts. What are we doing? We're just comforts, body comforts and mind comforts only. The idea of freedom from the mind is inconceivable to me. It's inconceivable. So what does all this engineering tell me? Engineering, all that, or medicine, make the body more comfortable. That's all right. Body comfort and mind comfort. Mind comfort through price. Body comfort through luxury. What else is there? Isn't it? Just look at it. All the industrial process, operation research compared to CPM and PERT, all those things put together, make more comforts and more luxuries. Isn't it so? Management, education, job lesson, skills. But just look at it, take a break, and then see what are we doing. And there is no end to this comfort. That's what we have understood. There is no end. We keep on accumulating, and there is no end. But take a step back and then see what are we doing. So a new life is possible, new civilization is possible. A different way evolution is possible. Deepthi, are you thoroughly bored? Are you seeing some sense?
It's like...
Just 1 second, Deepthi, I am asking you.
No, sir, I am understanding.
Thank you. Some people may think, what is going on? This is very, very bad. Just because we joined his course. Why should he do this to us?
Sir, this is like Avatar movies,
Avatar? Okay.
like different area.
Okay, I saw it long ago. I don't remember the thing.
Sir, I call it unknown addiction. Kind of.
Huh?
I call it unknown addiction.
Unknown addiction.
So everyone is addicted to their mind and the luxury around, but they don't know about it.
Exactly. Bro, Osho says the man is mainly addicted to mind. Addicted to mind. We don't even know that there is an addiction. Let me tell you, respect I have for Sadhguru is that he is the only public figure that I know in India who is alive, who knows that man is addicted to his mind. He is the only one. I am shocked. I mean, I didn't learn from him. I learned it independently. But when I am asked to evaluate him, I was shocked that he knew this.
Sir, is he enlightened?
I think so, with different degrees. But I think he has understood certain very core process, that flow, and otherwise it would be impossible. Impossible. That is why I believe in some kind of a degree of understanding. He did see certain things. And not a matter of simply reading more. No. But let me tell you, he is the only one I have come across, other than my favorite people I was inspired by.
Sir, is
I didn't learn from Sadhguru. I didn't learn anything. But after learning, I watched and I was shocked. It was a different kind of experience.
Sir, is reflection and meditation are alternatives to enlightenment, or is it the process?
Whose reflections? His reflections.
Our own reflections or meditation.
Exactly. So, see, he is asking, he is asking, how do you free mind and how do you understand slavery? I understand, I same thing, meditation, where all these things are called meditations. How is meditation different from thinking? In thinking, you are a part of that pleasure. You are feeling pleasure, pain, you are feeling pain. But meditation, you are detached. You are witnessing your pleasure. It is like that. That is why I said that you invite your wound, invite your love story and write. Because you invite it and you witness. The more you observe, you become free. Let me tell you, the more you understand the gap between you and your mind, better the freedom. The even simple understanding that we are not the minds is itself is a big thing. So where are we? So I believe meditation is just basically, normally students or everybody, they have one track mind. They want to clear the examination like this. Everything else is a distraction. But instead, invite regularly on a time basis. Every day morning, half an hour, invite, right. In fact, you become better student. But invite like that. Any pleasure, any pain, any offense, invite. Remember, that is the way life is struggling to talk to you. Your experience, your pain is the window opened to the world, to the reality. It's through your pain you realize. That's why I said Buddha's teaching that there is a sorrow as a noble truth, not that there is a sorrow and everybody knows it, that there is a sorrow. Experience it and then see how. People don't want to see it. People say, no, I'm happy. No, just see. Unit minor level and then see what does it mean. Through sorrow, what does it mean? Why am I? Like this. Open up. So all this is meditation. So most people outside this particular tradition, most people think thinking more, looking at more will make them more, will make them better. They are not wrong, but there is a limitation to that. There is a limitation to that. Freedom from the mind is a new opening. It's a new opening. Okay. Okay, just 1 second. 2 topics are remaining. It's very easy.